Caddis Maximus here. I'll be doing other videos soon. I just bought this little spat of Harbor Freight thing, so might as well review them. For some reason, I'm known as the Harbor Freight channel, even though, well, yeah, I guess I have reviewed quite a few of their items. This is the QFL 215 lumen cob, or, oh, I always forget what cob stands for, but it uses one of those big LED elements that has just a bunch of small ones integrated into it. This is part number 63935. It uses 3 AA batteries, and it is pretty light and pretty compact. Harbor Freight on these quantum lights has been using Loctite, so I did want to mention that these are all very difficult to take apart because they put some kind of thread locker on them. This does have a pretty strong magnet in the base and a power button that actually is recessed, which is not true on all the quantum lights. Has a little clip. It's kind of funny because on the packaging it talked about having a clip for a vehicle sun visor, and this little thin metal clip, I mean, I don't know of any sun visors that are that thin, but if you bend this out far enough to actually get on a sun visor, it will eventually bend this clip because it's just a little eyelet on this little threaded ring, and it won't actually return, and meaning that it won't hold very tightly in a pocket. I should mention that. They do have a little eyelet to hang it off a nail or a screw, so that's kind of handy. But no like little hole in the base or the top to put a lanyard, although I guess you could run a lanyard through this. It's pretty decent light. They claim a polycarbonate lens, but they package it so tightly that it's scuffed. It gets scuffed during shipping, so I did want to mention that. And I don't know how it's secured. It's either glued or held in on clips on the top and bottom. It almost looks like that with those little deviations there. But since it's flush with the face, I mean, this is only going to take so many drops onto the concrete before that lens breaks. Although it'll still generally function, I'm sure. It is O-ring, but who knows about the actual degree of water resistance. I'm also going to compare it to this Energizer. Let me zoom out a little bit. This Energizer is actually really common at like Kroger's and Walmart's, or it used to be. So it was like $20 or $22. It was kind of expensive, but it's what I've got to compare of general, you know, LED work lights. You know, the Harbor Freight is much smaller, but the Energizer is, you know, much more robust and has a bunch of different design features, such as the magnets being covered by rubber. When you want to pull off the battery cover, it has one of those engineered threads where it stops at a certain point, so it's super easy. The batteries all go in the same direction, although that's true with the Harbor Freight, but it's nice to see that on double stack. So this thing's generally easier to use, you know, has a nice hook on it. The lens is deeply recessed and is, you know, cross-screwed into the front, so this whole thing's pretty robust. Very heavy-duty switch. Enough about that. Let me show you what one thing I noticed is this Harbor Freight could actually be brighter. These kind of flashlights have been around for several years now, but they are a little bit more expensive. This exact same design, people have seen them in more specialty hardware stores and that kind of thing, and now they just show up the Harbor Freight. But what's interesting is this is like a 250 lumen element here, but it would just suck down the batteries too fast. They advertise 3.5 hours on low. They don't even mention how long it lasts on high, which is going to be like an hour or something. And even with that lifespan, if we turn it on, we can see that these lines are going across the screen. That's because the LED is actually being turned on and off rapidly rather than being on 100% of the time. And then when we turn it on low, we can see that the on and off time changes, and so those lines going across the screen change. If we do compare that to the Energizer, which uses 4 AA's and 200 lumens, about the same brightness, we can see none of those lines. They're actually truly on 100% of the time. And like for me, when I'm shooting video, that actually makes a difference because I don't have lines rolling across the screen. And then the Energizer only pulses it in the low mode. Let's compare just the brightness just here, and then I'll do that outside as well. So there's the Energizer. We're about 12 inches away. There's the Quantum, low, almost exactly the same between these units. Okay, let's go do a little demonstration outside just so you can see, you know, how well it does with the floodlight and illuminating a bit larger of an area. Okay, I'm about 2 meters or 6 feet, 7 feet away from the corner, and here's our Harbor Freight Quantum. And we can see that it is pretty bright. It does have a pretty sharp cutoff on the edge. It's a good 170 degree viewing angle. Here's the flashlight at arm's length away from that corner, so it really is a pretty bright floodlight. Offers a lot of really good coverage. I'm actually pretty surprised about it. And then there it is on low. And to compare with the Energizer work light, we can see we get a little bit bluer light, but the camera seems to have a better time compensating for it. The image quality is a little bit better. You could say that there's a few little hot spots with the Harbor Freight unit, but maybe not quite as even as this Energizer unit, but it is really small. Anyway, that was my little review of the Harbor Freight Quantum QFL 215. You know, I kind of collected up all their flashlights now, and they're a pretty reasonable price. I think I got this for like $12 with a coupon, or it wasn't with a coupon. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was pretty cheap. For some reason, I think it was $12.99. I do like these little flashlights. You know, I remember them coming out a few years ago. I don't know if I mentioned, but they did have a nice recessed power button on this. They've always been neat, but just, you know, the experience was that they suck down batteries. So it's just something to keep in mind. Keep extra batteries around. I really appreciate everybody who's been giving me comments, and who's all the new subscribers, as well as all of my early subscribers who had helped support this channel. If you haven't subscribed to the Catus Maximus channel, please do subscribe to the Catus Maximus channel. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.